All right, so let's just cut straight to it. The NFL doesn't run on tradition. It doesn't run on grit. It doesn't even run on passion. It runs on quarterback play. Full stop, end of sentence. And if your quarterback is bad, you're basically lighting your season on fire and watching it burn in slow motion. And if your quarterback is good, you're suddenly a playoff team, a division threat, maybe even a dark horse Super Bowl candidate, and nobody knows that better than the Dallas Cowboys because, let's face it, when Dak Prescott is good, the Cowboys look like the team their fans swear they are every offseason. And when Dak Prescott is bad, or worse, injured, it's a collapse, a tailspin, a YouTube comment section filled with, we should have drafted Mahomes, and trade the whole team, and fire McCarthy, bring back Jimmy Johnson. Like we all haven't heard that every time they lose a game. And now, here we are in 2025, deep in the offseason, and what are we talking about again? Dak Prescott, because we can't not talk about him. It's impossible. He's the sun around which this franchise orbits, and if he flares out, everything else dies. And if he burns bright, we're cooking with gas. But here's the twist. This isn't just another year for Dak. This is year 10, double digits, a full decade of being QB1 in Dallas. And that's a lot. That's rarefied air. And yet, despite all that time, all the wins, all the stats, he's still somehow the most debated, dissected, and doubted man in the league, not named Russell Wilson. And it's crazy because, let's not lie to ourselves here. When he's on, when he's locked in, when he's healthy and confident and schemed up properly, Dak Prescott is a legit top 10 quarterback in the NFL, and anyone who tells you otherwise is either trolling or hasn't watched a full Cowboys game since Tony Romo had a back brace on. But let's be real, the league doesn't grade on a curve. And it doesn't care about feelings, it cares about results. And in 2024, the results were ugly. Not just from Dak, but from everybody. The offensive line got pushed around, the wide receivers dropped everything short of their car keys, the run game was a rumor, and the defense got gassed down the stretch. But because he's the quarterback, Dak gets the bulk of the blame, just like he'd get the bulk of the credit if they had gone 14-3. And that's just the deal. That's the job. That's the price of being the face of the Dallas freaking Cowboys. And now the Jones family, for better or worse, has shoved all their chips in on this man. They paid him $240 million with $60 million a year and a no-trade clause and mountains of guaranteed cash, meaning if this thing goes off the rails, there's no emergency exit, no trapdoor, no plan B, just vibes and dead cap space. So yeah, 2025 matters a lot. Not because Dak is in a make-or-break year like some talking heads at Fox Sports are screaming about, which makes zero sense if you've actually read the contract, but because it's the year that sets the tone for what the next 3 to 4 years are going to be. And the Cowboys front office knows that, the fans know that, and trust me, Dak definitely knows that. And to their credit, they didn't just toss him the bag and say, figure it out. They actually did some grown-up roster building this offseason. They brought in Brian Schottenheimer, a guy Dak respects. They added Clayton Adams and Connor Riley to get this offensive line nastier and more consistent in the run game, and they finally got him a legit WR2 in George Pickens, a dude who can actually win on the outside and make life harder for defenses who want to bracket CeeDee Lamb all game long. And then they added speed with Jaden Blue, a home run threat that defenses are going to have to account for, unless they want to get torched on a post route. And to top it off, they used a high draft pick on an interior lineman to replace Zach Martin, a literal Hall of Famer. And even though that's a near impossible ask, at least they acknowledged the void instead of pretending like Tyler could just move over and solve all their problems. And now, with a better supporting cast and better coaching infrastructure, the question becomes real simple. Can Dak take this team to the next level? And if not, then what? And here's where things get fun. Because the Cowboys didn't just quietly upgrade their QB1's environment, they also decided to make one of the spiciest, most intriguing QB2 moves of the entire offseason by trading for Joe Milton III. And oh boy, let's talk about Joe Milton, because this man might have the most ridiculous arm talent in the NFL outside of Josh Allen and Patrick Mahomes, And that's not hyperbole, that's real. He can throw it 75 yards flat-footed type arm strength and at 6'5", 240 pounds. With the athleticism of a tight end and the vibe of a superhero origin story, Milton is not your typical backup quarterback. This isn't Cooper Rush 2.0. This isn't your just don't screw it up clipboard holder. This is a lottery ticket, a high ceiling, low floor, complete enigma kind of player that makes coaches either lose sleep at night or fall in love on a whiteboard. And the fact that the Cowboys targeted him, traded for him, and slotted him in as QB2, without hesitation tells me one thing loud and clear. They are tired of boring quarterback play behind Dak. They are tired of settling for safe and average. They want a backup who can either explode and surprise everyone or crash and burn so hard they get a top 5 pick. And honestly, I love that energy because I've said it for years. If your QB1 goes down and your QB2 is just okay, what's the point? You either win big or you get a high draft pick and reset. But going 8-9 with a mid-backup does nothing but put you in football purgatory. And Milton's presence changes that math entirely. He's got the tools. He's got one start under his belt, where he looked really solid, 22 of 29, 241 yards, a TD passing, a TD rushing. And sure, it was against backups. But every NFL player is still an NFL player, and he didn't flinch. And now he gets to sit behind Dak, soak up a year in the system, and maybe become something special. And look, I'm not saying he's the future, I'm not crowning him anything. I'm just saying when you've seen enough boring backup play like we've had with Cooper Rush and others, it's refreshing to take a swing at a guy who could actually be something. And it's not like the cost was crazy either. A 5th-round pick? That's a scratch-off ticket you'd happily buy again, especially considering the Patriots were only shopping him because they didn't want any controversy around Drake May. And if Milton pans out, if he even becomes a top 20 starter in this league, then you've pulled off highway robbery. And if he doesn't, oh well, you move on, draft the next guy, or roll with someone new in 2026. But at least you tried, and that's more than most teams can say about their QB2 situation. And as for Will Grier, look, I like the guy, he's a professional, he's got experience, but he's QB3 for a reason. He's not pushing Milton unless Milton completely implodes in preseason. And even then, it'd be a reluctant promotion based on stability, not upside. So really, the battle here isn't between Grier and Milton. It's between Milton and the idea of what if? What if Dak gets hurt again? What if the offense needs a spark? What if you actually need Milton to start 4, 5, 6 games? Are you ready? Is he ready? And if you're not at least entertaining that thought in the back of your mind, you're not paying attention. Because in today's NFL, QB2 matters more than ever. And if you've got one with traits, confidence, and physical gifts you can't teach, then you're already ahead of the curve. And that's why this whole situation is fascinating. Not just because of what it means for 2025, but because of what it could mean for 2026, 2027 and beyond. And yes, I'm fully aware of how wild it sounds to talk about Milton